This is Rene Enriquez. Nickname Black Hand of the Mexican Mafia. Prison gang politics.
Hey folks, my name is Rene Enriquez, and you're watching Uncensored. Well, we're going to run some older video today, but I want to put out right now, everybody says your face is showing when I run these videos, but you have to understand that these videos are over 15 years old, maybe 15 years old, maybe more. And it's before my appearance change, so don't panic. I'm not panicking. If you see a video of me up, showing my face, it's because of that. But we're going to talk about the Mexican Mafia targeting law enforcement. And it's always been like taboo to do that. In recent times, there was an incident in Donovan State Prison where Mexican Mafia member Yoda and a group of camaradas attacked cops, right? And that was huge. It was huge because cops went into a tizzy, and it's in violation of the Ashker Brown settlement agreement. The Mexican Mafia and all the major prison gangs have agreed not to target cops, right, and reduce staff violence. And this was a breach of that agreement, right, which could have tipped the scales and sent the guys back to the shoe. That's why you don't see cops getting whacked in CDCR, because there is an agreement with the Mexican Mafia and all the major prison gangs that they will not do that. Well, with that said, I'm going to give you some of the reasons why in this video the Mexican Mafia does not target law enforcement. Hope you enjoy it, folks. When I was inducted into the organization, I understood it to be sacrilegious to target or assault law enforcement officials. This would bring unwanted attention to the organization, which would cease its operations. Contemporarily, there's been a shift in ideology, not overtly from the Mexican Mafia, but from Sureño street gangs, as evidenced by a variety of different barrios who are now considered cop killers. Artesia, Hawaiian Gardens, the Avenues, Burbank, the Violin Boys, to name a few. Additionally, Sureños utilize the targeting of law enforcement for initiation purposes. This is understood among Sureños as having tacit approval from the organization. No sanction is imposed upon Sureños that kill cops or target cops. Another example of this, Mexican Mafia directly approving the assault of law enforcement officials, is the Arizona Mexican Mafia. Jaime Tinoco was involved in a conspiracy to murder the director of corrections in Arizona. As a result, he was outsourced and transferred to Connecticut for his involvement in this conspiracy. This was an active conspiracy among Mexican Mafia members to kill a director of the Department of Corrections. Additionally, Mexican Mafia Pelican Bay members devised a plan to assault correctional officers during mandatory TB testing during a series of peace talks and protests. It was a plan of the organizations to kill correctional officers when they enforced this mandatory TB testing. It was considered a statement of the organization rather than the passive attack that they took in their protest in the past. This is a clear shift in the mentality of the organization. This poses a huge threat to law enforcement. This is yet unrealized by the organization, targeting law enforcement, but its continued progression and tacit approval of these assaults would eventually lead to Sureños actually targeting correctional officers and a broad variety of law enforcement officials. The Mexican Mafia does not target law enforcement in the traditional sense for infiltration. It does so on the periphery, typically with correctional officers and parole officers. It does so through a manner of social engineering. It identifies individuals who possess certain weaknesses or flaws, and it capitalizes on those deficiencies, much as the analogy I used earlier of 100 people in the room, how we can see leadership qualities. We can also spot deficiencies in people, whether they be financial needs, poor self-image, a lack of self-confidence. Typically, Mexican Mafia members and Sureños target females who lack male attention, and they focus on specific characteristics or qualities that they do possess, and they emphasize those points in order to make an inroad. Much as Sureños admire respect, females admire compliments. This is the one step taken when flipping a CO. This is a long practiced, long successful undertaking that the Mexican Mafia and Sureños have brought to perfection. They do this on a regular basis. They're exposed to these individuals on a regular basis every day, 5 days a week. One thing that Sureños and Mexican Mafia members are known for is their astuteness. They study their environment. They do this understanding that it's a protectionary method, a matter of survival. We study our environment. We study the minutia. We look at every aspect of a person's behavior and determine who they are. From the moment we see somebody, we identify that individual as possessing strength or weakness. Everybody is evaluated. Much as a psychiatrist evaluates a patient, we identify targets. This is done on a regular occurrence in incarcerated settings. The same is done with POs on the streets. The same method is used and the same techniques are utilized to flip these individuals. That's exactly what we call it, flipping. Once we get inside this individual's head, once we have favor, and once we understand that there's an attraction, it usually begins with a romantic liaison, and then it progresses to the involvement in criminal activity. This is how we infiltrate law enforcement. On the periphery, the Mexican Mafia also infiltrates a variety of different institutions. It attempted to infiltrate the California State Senate in the peace talks. During this process, Mexican Mafia members were communicating with California state senators. It also attempted to infiltrate the Los Angeles Archdiocese, the Catholic Archdiocese, through communicating with high-level and high-placed sources within the church. The Mexican Mafia knows no boundaries. It will infiltrate what's available to them. It understands that it will have difficulty infiltrating law enforcement agencies, but individuals on the periphery are easy prey, easy marks, or easy targets.
So there you have it, folks. That's why the Mafia does not target cops in law enforcement. There have been a spate of street gangs targeting cops, and that will always be. People that don't want to go back to prison for life, individuals who just want to make a reputation for their neighborhood killing cops. That's always going to occur. It's a very dangerous occupation, right? But the Mexican Mafia specifically targeting law enforcement, no, that rarely occurs. It's happened in the past, but I really am not seeing that now, and nobody really is, right? And again, it's a result of the settlement and agreement between CDCR and these major prison groups not to target cops. You know, what's the point of having these leaders on the yard if cops are getting assaulted? And staff assaults from validated members or associates of prison gangs has plummeted. It's plummeted. No camarada wants to go out there and assault a cop. It's not unheard of. There are some aberrations where people do assault cops, but the whole scale targeting is just not in the future for the organization. It just would be kind of political suicide, and they'd be regressing back to the shoe because CDCR would definitely lock them up. All right, folks, hope you enjoyed that. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment, forward, hit that hype bell. Hype, hype, hype. Important for the videos. Peace out, folks. Enjoy your weekend.
This is Rene Enriquez. Nickname Pelican.